What if I told you that charisma isn't something people are born with? That the magnetic presence you see in some people, the way they light up a room, the way others naturally gravitate toward them, isn't a genetic gift or a lucky accident. It's a skill, a learnable pattern, a collection of behaviors that anyone can understand and develop. And honestly, the people you think are naturally charismatic have simply mastered something you can master too. Today, we're going to explore one of the most fascinating topics in human psychology, charisma. What it really is, why some people seem to have it effortlessly, and the specific behaviors that create that magnetic quality. And while we explore this together, you'll be improving your English naturally, learning vocabulary that native speakers use when discussing personality, behavior, and human connection. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and stay with me until the very end. Because today, you're not just learning English, you're discovering the psychology behind one of the most powerful social skills in the world. Let's begin. Before we continue, let me share something important with you. Many English learners can read and understand quite well, but they struggle when it comes to real conversations about deeper topics like psychology, emotions, and human behavior. Why? Because textbooks don't teach this vocabulary. Grammar exercises don't prepare you for real discussions. That's exactly why I created the Native Flow English coaching experience. And right now, it's available for just $5. Think about that for a moment. $5. The price of a coffee, the cost of a snack. But the investment in your English skills? That creates opportunities that last a lifetime. Confidence in professional discussions. The ability to connect deeply with English speakers. The vocabulary to express complex ideas clearly. For only $5, you'll get instant access to comprehensive video lessons, downloadable practice materials, speaking exercises, direct WhatsApp support, and our supportive community of learners from around the world. If you're ready to move beyond basic English and start discussing ideas that matter, click the link in the description and join us today. Now, let's discover what makes some people so naturally magnetic. Imagine walking into a room full of strangers. In one corner, there's someone who immediately catches your attention. Not because they're the loudest, not because they're the most attractive, not because they're trying to be noticed, but because there's something about their presence, their energy, their way of being that draws people in. You watch them for a moment, and you notice something interesting. People lean in when they speak. People smile when they're around. People seem comfortable, engaged, genuinely interested. That quality, that invisible magnetism, that's charisma. And honestly, most people assume it's something mysterious, something you either have or you don't. But psychology tells us something completely different. Now let's talk about what charisma actually is. Because the word gets used constantly, but rarely gets defined clearly. In English, we describe charismatic people as magnetic, captivating, engaging, compelling, influential. Notice something about these words. They all describe an effect on other people. Charisma isn't about how you feel, it's about how you make others feel. And that's the first crucial insight. Charismatic people aren't focused on being impressive. They're focused on making others feel valued, heard, understood, important. And honestly, this shift in focus changes everything. Here's something fascinating. Researchers have studied charisma for decades, trying to understand what separates magnetic people from average ones. And they've discovered something powerful. Charisma consists of specific, observable behaviors, not vague qualities, not mysterious energy, actual behaviors that can be identified, practiced, and developed. Things like eye contact, active listening, emotional expressiveness, genuine interest, confident body language, and purposeful speech. When you break charisma down into these components, it stops being mysterious. It starts being learnable. Now, imagine two people at a social gathering. Both are friendly, both are polite, both are having conversations, but one person seems charismatic while the other doesn't. What's the difference? Watch closely. The charismatic person maintains eye contact when someone speaks. They don't look around the room, they don't check their phone, they don't scan for someone more important. Their attention is completely present. The other person might be listening, but their eyes wander. Their attention drifts. Their body language says, "I'm here, but I'm not fully here." And honestly, people feel this difference immediately. Presence, full attention, complete focus. This is one of the most powerful components of charisma. Now, let's talk about listening, because this is where many people misunderstand charisma completely. They assume charismatic people are great speakers. They imagine someone eloquent, witty, entertaining. But here's the truth. The most charismatic people are often the best listeners. They ask questions. They show genuine curiosity. They remember details. They follow up on previous conversations. They make people feel heard in a world where everyone wants to be heard, but few people actually listen. And honestly, this is a skill anyone can develop. You don't need to be funny. You don't need to be brilliant. You just need to be genuinely interested in other people. Here's a powerful vocabulary lesson hidden in this concept. In English, we distinguish between hearing and listening. Hearing is passive. Sound enters your ears. Listening is active. You process, understand, respond, engage. Charismatic people don't just hear words. They listen for meaning, emotion, importance, connection. They listen with their eyes, their body, their full attention. This distinction, this commitment to active listening, transforms ordinary conversations into meaningful connections. Now, imagine someone telling you about their day. A regular person might nod politely, say, "That's nice," and wait for their turn to speak. A charismatic person responds differently. They notice emotions. They ask follow-up questions. "That must have been frustrating. How did you handle it?" They validate feelings. They show they're tracking the conversation. They make the other person feel like their experience matters. And honestly, this behavior isn't manipulation. It's genuine interest expressed through specific actions. It's caring made visible through behavior. Now, here's a mistake many people make. They try to become charismatic by being more entertaining, more funny, more impressive. They think charisma means being the center of attention. But honestly, that often creates the opposite effect. People who constantly try to impress can seem insecure, needy, exhausting. Genuine charisma comes from a different place. Confidence without arrogance, interest without agenda, warmth without neediness. It's a balanced energy that makes people feel comfortable, not intimidated. Here's something interesting about body language. Charismatic people tend to have open, relaxed posture. They don't cross their arms defensively. They don't hunch over protectively. They don't create physical barriers. Their body language says, "I'm comfortable, I'm confident, I'm approachable." And honestly, people respond to these nonverbal signals unconsciously. Before you even speak, your body is communicating. Charismatic people understand this. They align their physical presence with their intentions. Now, let's talk about energy, because this is another component people notice but rarely understand. Charismatic people often have animated expressions. When they're surprised, you see surprise on their face. When they're excited, you feel their excitement. When they're concerned, you see genuine concern. This emotional expressiveness makes conversations feel alive, dynamic, engaging. Compare this to someone with minimal expression, someone whose face barely changes, someone who seems emotionally flat. Even if they're nice, even if they're intelligent, they seem less engaging. And honestly, emotional expressiveness can be developed. It's not about being fake. It's about letting your internal feelings show externally. Here's a fascinating psychological concept. Charismatic people make others feel like the most important person in the room. Not through words, through attention, through presence, through the way they engage. When you're speaking with them, you're not competing for their attention. You haven't completely. And honestly, in our distracted, phone-checking, attention-divided world, this full presence feels rare. It feels special. It creates connection. Now, imagine watching a charismatic person in a group conversation. Notice what they do. They include everyone. When someone quiet hasn't spoken, they create space. What do you think about this? They notice when someone gets interrupted and circle back. "You were saying something before. What was it?" They distribute attention fairly. They make sure everyone feels included. This behavior isn't complex. It doesn't require special training. It just requires awareness and intention. And honestly, people remember how you made them feel. They remember being included when others overlooked them. Now, here's something nobody tells you about charisma. It's deeply connected to confidence, but not the kind of confidence people usually imagine. Not "I'm better than everyone" confidence, but "I'm comfortable being myself" confidence. Charismatic people don't seem to be performing. They don't seem to be trying too hard. They seem authentic, genuine, real. And honestly, this authenticity is magnetic because it's rare. So many people wear masks, play roles, try to be what they think others want. Authentic presence stands out. Let's talk about vocal qualities for a moment, because charisma isn't just visual. Charismatic people often vary their vocal tone. They emphasize important words. They pause for effect. They speak with energy and intention. Compare this to monotone speech, where everything sounds the same, where nothing stands out, where the voice creates no emotional texture. Even if the words are interesting, monotone delivery makes them feel flat. And honestly, vocal variety is completely learnable. You can practice this. You can develop this. You can make your speech more engaging simply by being more intentional with tone, pace, and emphasis. Here's a powerful English vocabulary lesson. We have specific words for different types of presence. Charismatic means magnetically attractive. Engaging means holding attention effectively. Compelling means evoking interest powerfully. Captivating means holding attention completely. Magnetic means attracting others naturally. Each word carries slightly different connotations, but all describe this quality of drawing others in. Understanding these nuances helps you discuss personality and behavior more precisely in English. Now imagine two people giving the same presentation. Same information, same slides, same content. But one person is charismatic and the other isn't. What's different? The charismatic presenter makes eye contact with individuals, not just scanning the room. They speak with passion, not just reciting information. They pause to let important points land. They vary their tone to maintain interest. They seem genuinely excited about the topic. They connect with the audience emotionally, not just intellectually. And honestly, the content might be identical, but the experience is completely different. One feels engaging, the other feels like enduring information. Now, here's perhaps the most important insight about charisma. It's not about changing who you are. It's about becoming more intentional with how you connect. Introverts can be charismatic. Quiet people can be charismatic. You don't need to become loud, outgoing, or extroverted. You just need to be present, genuine, interested, and attentive when you interact with others. And honestly, some of the most charismatic people I've ever met were naturally quiet. Their charisma came from their depth, their listening, their thoughtful responses, their genuine interest. Here's a practical strategy you can apply today. The next time you have a conversation, try this. Put your phone away completely. Make eye contact. Listen without planning what you'll say next. Ask a follow-up question about something the person mentioned. Notice how they respond. Notice how the conversation feels different. Notice how this small shift in attention changes the dynamic. And honestly, this simple practice, this commitment to presence, is the foundation of charisma. Everything else builds on this. Now, let's talk about warmth versus competence. Psychological research shows that charisma often combines both. Warmth makes people feel safe, comfortable, valued. Competence makes people feel confident in you, respectful of you, impressed by you. When someone has warmth without competence, they seem nice but ineffective. When someone has competence without warmth, they seem capable but cold. Charismatic people balance both. They're skilled and knowledgeable, but also approachable and kind. And honestly, both qualities can be developed intentionally. Here's something fascinating about memory and charisma. People remember how you made them feel more than what you said. Years later, they might not recall the specific conversation, but they'll remember that you made them feel important, heard, valued, interesting. This emotional memory is powerful. It's why charismatic people create lasting impressions, not through memorable quotes or brilliant insights necessarily, but through emotional experiences of connection. Now, imagine yourself 6 months from now. You've been practicing presence. You've been listening actively. You've been showing genuine interest in others. You've been making eye contact. You've been expressing emotions more openly. And one day someone tells you, "There's something different about you. You seem more confident, more engaging." That moment will feel incredible. Not because you changed your personality, because you became more intentional with your presence. Before we finish, I want you to understand something powerful. Charisma isn't reserved for a special few. It's not a genetic gift. It's not luck. It's a set of learnable behaviors rooted in presence, attention, warmth, confidence, and genuine interest in others. Every charismatic person you admire developed these qualities over time, through practice, through intention, through countless interactions where they chose presence over distraction, listening over speaking, connection over impression. And honestly, you can develop the same qualities, starting today, starting with your next conversation. The people who seem naturally charismatic simply started practicing these behaviors earlier. They learned, consciously or unconsciously, that connection matters more than impression, that listening creates more impact than speaking, that making others feel important is more powerful than trying to seem important yourself. These aren't complex principles. They're simple shifts in focus, from self to others, from impressing to connecting, from performing to being present. And honestly, these shifts change everything. Thank you so much for learning with me today. And remember, charisma isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about bringing your full presence to every interaction. It's about caring enough to listen. It's about being brave enough to be genuine. You already have everything you need. The only question is, will you practice being fully present in your next conversation? I believe you will. I believe you can. And honestly, the world needs more people who know how to make others feel valued, heard, and important. That person can be you.